Good evening and welcome to the 9 p.m. English news edition coming to you live from RTD channel. And tonight, headlines are: the Minister of Interior continues his visit to National Police Services with a visit to the Balbala police station. The Egyptian embassy in Djibouti celebrates Egypt's National Day with an official reception held at Ayla Grand Hotel. And concerning the 2026 FIFA World Cup, Spain and Belgium qualify for the quarterfinals after winning the round of 16 match. Those were the top stories, and welcome back in our newsroom. The Minister of Interior continued his field visit of National Police Services. The Minister of the Interior, Omar Abdi Saeed, continued his field tour this morning across several departments under his ministry. He was, let's recall, accompanied by the Minister Delegate in charge of decentralization, Omar Hussein Omar, and the Director General of the National Police, Colonel Abdurrahman Ali Kahin. This series of visits reflects the government's commitment to maintaining close contact with the security personnel, assessing their working conditions, and ensuring the effective functioning of the services responsible for protecting citizens. It also demonstrates the authorities' determination to modernize the country's security institutions and enhance the quality of public service. The delegation began its tour at the 4th Police District and the district sub-prefecture, where local officials presented the organization and work of the services, their operational responsibilities, and the measures implemented to ensure public safety. Discussion also focused on the challenges faced by officers in the field and the resources required to reinforce operational effectiveness. The minister commended the professionalism and dedication of police officers, emphasizing that an effective security service must remain close to the people, responsive to their concern, and committed to protecting lives and property. The delegation then visited the 5th Police District, where officials outlined the operational strategies deployed to combat crime, prevent insecurity, and maintain public order. They also highlighted community policing initiative designed to strengthen cooperation and build trust between the police and local residents. In Balbala, the Minister of the Interior, Omar Abdi Saeed, met with local administrative authorities and senior security officials. Their discussion focused on improving coordination among institutions, enhancing crime prevention efforts, and developing more effective responses to the security concerns of the population. The final stop of the tour was the Hodan police station. After inspecting the facilities, the Minister of the Interior met with the officers and unit commanders, encouraging them to continue serving the public with their professionalism, discipline, integrity, respect for citizens' rights, and a strong commitment to quality public service. Concluding his visit, the minister reaffirmed the government's determination to continue investing in the national police by strengthening operational capabilities. And following the Minister of the Interior field tour of National Police Services, attention now turned to diplomacy as Djibouti and Egypt celebrate their long-standing friendship and cooperation. The Embassy of the Arab Republic of Egypt in the Republic of Djibouti hosted an official reception last night at Djibouti Ayla Grand Hotel to mark Egypt's National Day. The event was organized by the Egyptian ambassador to Djibouti, Abdurrahman Rafat. The celebration came just days after Djibouti marked the 49th anniversary of its independence, highlighting the historic ties of friendship, solidarity, and cooperation between the two nations. Representing the Egyptian government was the Minister of Higher Education and Research, Dr. Nabil Mohammed Ahmed. The reception also brought together several members of the government, the President of the National Assembly, Dileta Mohammed Dileta, the Dean of the Diplomatic Corps, and Ambassador of the Republic of Yemen to Djibouti, Abdullah Al-Sukatari, ambassadors from friendly and partner countries, as well as senior civilian and military officials. On this occasion, Ambassador Abdurrahman Wafat and the guests exchange congratulations and best wishes in celebration Egypt's National Day. The ceremony opened with the national anthems of Egypt and Djibouti, followed by the traditional cake cutting ceremony in a warm and friendly atmosphere, reflecting the strong bonds of friendship, cooperation, and brotherhood between the Arab Republic of Egypt and the Republic of Djibouti. In his address, the ambassador of the Arab Republic of Egypt to the Republic of Djibouti, Abdurrahman Wafat, did not fail to highlight the long-standing and historic relationship between the two countries, emphasizing the strengths of their bilateral cooperation across several strategic sectors. He underscored the significance of Egypt National Day, commemorating the 74th anniversary of the July 23rd revolution, and reflected on the country's achievement, while reaffirming Egypt's commitment to further strengthening its partnership with Djibouti. The ambassador also praised the growing cooperation between the two nations, particularly in the fields of ports, energy, and logistics. Concluding his remarks, he extended his best wishes for continued peace, stability, progress, and prosperity to the people of Djibouti on the occasion of the 49th anniversary of the country's independence. Representing the Djiboutian government, the Minister of Higher Education and Research, Dr. Nabil Mohammed Ahmed, did not fail to congratulate the Arab Republic of Egypt, its leadership, government, and people on the 74th anniversary of the July 23rd revolution. He conveyed Djibouti's best wishes for Egypt's continued peace, stability, and prosperity. He reaffirmed the strong historical and brotherly ties between Djibouti and Egypt, emphasizing that bilateral relations continue to grow under the leadership of President Ismail Omar Guelleh and President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi. He also welcomed the steady progress in cooperation marked by high-level exchange and close coordination on regional and international issues. Concluding his remarks, the minister reiterated Djibouti's commitment to further strengthening cooperation and friendship with Egypt for the mutual benefit of both nations and in support of peace and stability across the whole region. The reception ended on a warm and friendly atmosphere. A celebration marked by friendship and togetherness, the reception concluded on a warm and festive note. Here is a look back at the closing moment of the event. The official reception ended with a lucky draw given to guests the opportunity to each win a round-trip flight ticket to Cairo offered by Egypt Air, adding a special and friendly touch to the celebration. The winners will have the chance to explore Egypt's rich historical and cultural heritage, including its iconic monuments and the treasures of its ancient civilizations. Now turning to the youth sector and a new initiative to support young Djiboutian. The Ministry of Youth and Culture through the Directorate of Youth, Social Integration and Volunteering has officially launched free English courses for young people from the Community Development Centers of Neighborhood 5, Angela Piquet 12 and Layable Moustiquaire. The launch ceremony held at Hayabli Community Development Center was attended by the Minister of Youth and Culture Fardousa Moussaïghi and the U.S. Ambassador to Djibouti Cynthia Kirsch. The cultural affairs attaché at the U.S. Embassy, Daniel de Groff, as well as officials from the ministry, launched as part of the partnership between Djibouti and the United States. This 3-month program aims to improve young people's language skills, strengthen their professional opportunities, and prepare them for international opportunities. Through this initiative jointly launched by the Minister of Youth and Culture and the Ambassador, the Ministry of Youth and Culture continues its efforts to develop youth talent and prepare a generation equipped to meet future challenges. The program also reflects the ministry's commitment to making community development centers through spaces for learning, training, and personal development for Djiboutian youth.
Hi everyone, my full name is Shaib Abdurrahman Ali, and I am from CDC Layable. And am very happy, and I'm grateful, and I would like to thank everyone. I would like to thank the la Ministre de la Jeunesse et la Culture, and thanks to everyone. And I participated this information, English information, and I would like to say everyone, the youth, the teenager of Djiboutian teenagers, you have to benefit from this opportunity, and it's a great opportunity because English is very important these days. And I'm very glad, I'm very happy. They helped me a lot, and I'm very happy for this information, English information.
And now a new step for the development of Taekwondo in Djibouti. In line with the efforts to support youth development, sport continues to play an important role in national development policies. A new milestone has been reached for Djibouti's Taekwondo. The State Secretary in charge of sport hosted yesterday the official signing ceremony of a tripartite agreement aimed at strengthening the long-term development of Taekwondo in Djibouti, chaired by the Secretary of State for Sport, Fatuma Ali Abdallah. The ceremony marked an important step in promoting sports development and strengthening cooperation with the international sport institution. The agreement was signed by Abshir Ali Hassan, Director of Sport, representing the State Secretary for Sport, Haidaruz Hussein Girre, Secretary General of the Djibouti Taekwondo Federation, and Master King Do Jin, an international expert representing Kukiwon, the World Taekwondo headquarters in the Republic of Korea. The partnership focused on 3 main areas: modernizing the national belt ranking system in line with the Kukiwon international standard, expanding access to Taekwondo through community development centers, including self-defense programs for women and girls, and improving the performance of Djiboutian athletes in regional, continental, and international competition. Through this initiative, the State Secretary in charge of sport reaffirmed its commitment to building a modern, inclusive, and high-performing sports environment. First result of the Taekwondo partnership take shape. Following the signing of this strategic partnership, the first concrete steps of the cooperation are now underway with a meeting between the Korean expert and Djiboutian practitioners. A few hours after the signing of the tripartite memorandum of understanding for the development of Taekwondo in Djibouti, Master Kim Do-jin, an international expert appointed by Kukiwon, met with local athletes during a belt promotion ceremony held on Monday evening at the King Fahad Sport Complex. The event brought together Abshir Ali, Director of Sport representing the State Secretary in charge of sport, and Aidruz Hussein Girre, Secretary General of the Djibouti Taekwondo Federation. During the ceremony, athletes presented a technical demonstration showcasing their skills, movement, combination, and mastery of the fundamental techniques of the martial arts. And now we take a look back at the defining period in Djibouti's social history in the 1950s and 1960s. The salt workers of the Saline Company and dock workers of the ports. Let's watch.
Colonies were conquered in order to be exploited. They enabled the dominance of the conquering power. Such greatness could not be achieved without the plundering of the resources of indigenous peoples who were dispossessed of their lands through deceptive and invalid treaties, a ruthless militaristic policy and missions of evangelization and acculturation through schools and churches. However, in order to establish a lasting presence, colonial ideology relied on racial hierarchies while encouraging antagonism between neighboring communities. Our territory and its inhabitants were no exception. In order to make the most of the new El Dorado represented by the city of Djibouti, the colonial administration exploited the indigenous populations while favoring foreign communities. Greeks, Armenians, and Jews were granted preferential treatment and lived in better planned and developed areas. They resided on the Serpent and Djibouti plateaus, while the indigenous people from the regions lived in miserable conditions on the lowlands south of the Hamoudi Mosque. Band Jadid and Dar es Islam were working-class neighborhoods that supplied the cheap labor force. A form of spatial segregation developed, excluding the poorest inhabitants from the urban sphere of influence, namely the business district located between the three plateaus and between Place Lagarde and Place Menelik. The economic exploitation of the new city began with the railway adventure. An 887-kilometer railway linked Djibouti to Addis Ababa, with construction beginning in 1897 under engineers Léon Chefney and Alfred. Working conditions were extremely harsh. Wages amounted to little more than token payments. Nomadic populations suffered first and foremost, living miserably in shanty settlements. The era of barter faded away, and nomadic societies reluctantly entered the monetary economy. During this period of monetary transition, traditional societies were shamelessly exploited, and their immense labor was grossly undervalued. Trade increasingly demanded on port activities for the deepening the poverty of pastoral societies. Years of work on railway and port infrastructure seriously affected the socio-economic conditions of nomadic peoples. By losing their monopoly of a caravan trade routes, which were replaced by the railway, and seeing their traditional ports of Zeila and Trajora centers of the age-old trade between the Arabian Peninsula and the Horn of Africa decline, the port of Djibouti became dominant port on the African coast. Camels were no longer allowed to enter port facilities as transport animals. For herders and caravan traders, this meant retaining for new occupations that often prevented them from living with dignity. They become coolies, laborers, dock workers, servants, orderlies, or guards. They abandoned the hinterland where they had once lived honorably from their livestock. The most experienced nomads no longer found opportunities in the countryside or in their villages and migrated to the capital in search of employment. Some were incorporated into the indigenous militia or territorial guard responsible for city security, the predecessor of the national police, while others joined the armed nomadic group, precursor to the gendarmerie responsible for security in the interior regions. Both corps were established by Governor Chapon Bessac, who governed between 1924 and 1934. During the first half of the 20th century, there was virtually no social welfare system and even less of a retirement system for indigenous populations. Furthermore, during the blockade of Djibouti known as Karmiki, imposed by the British in the Red Sea, the colonial administration regularly carried out livestock seizures and extortion in the hinterland against nomadic populations, forcing them to rebel. At times, acts of rape were committed by foreign militias, including some African riflemen recruited from elsewhere. It was in the Goda Mountains that the major Kabuba uprising took place, which was violently suppressed. Beyond the meager wages paid to Djiboutians who worked under harsh conditions in the scorching salt flats or loading coral works and coal onto trains during 1950s and 1960s and who were later dismissed because of the strikes protesting these deplorable working conditions. The industrialization of Djibouti city by companies such as the Franco-Ethiopian Railway Company, the Maritime Messageries, and the Industrial Company of Djibouti created appalling public health conditions. Among these enterprises, the Salt Company proved the deadliest. 5 doctors who denounced the premature deaths of salt workers and children were expelled from the territory because their reports sounded the alarm regarding poor sanitary conditions. This partly explains the 1949 revolt by the salt workers protesting the arrest of Hanfare Hassan Dima, the cashier of the Industrial Company of Djibouti. In 1958, another major strike broke out among dock workers at the port of Djibouti. Indecent wages and harsh working conditions in coal, bunkering, and other demanding activities led to a second strike in 1966. The colonial administration responded by replacing the striking dock workers with workers from another community. By keeping populations divided, the colonial system maintained poverty in the colonies and further impoverished indigenous populations whose living conditions did not improve. The cosmopolitan city of Djibouti became increasingly segregationist as there was little place for the poor. Only a few wealthy merchants were encouraged to live in the European part of the city. The financial resources of French, Jew, Greek, Armenian, and Hindu families enabled them to construct 1- and 2-story buildings laid out according to the city's Great Plan. No policy existed to provide decent housing for local populations. The only urban development undertaken after the Second World War consisted of road networks designed to facilitate the control of poor neighborhoods made up of shacks constructed from corrugated metal, wooden planks, sacks, and scrap materials on the city's outskirts. The first social housing projects were built in 1960s in the Cité-Stade, 1964, and later in Cité Arhiba, 1968, following the visit of the Minister of Colonies, Olivier Stern, in the lowest district of Banda Jadid and Dar es Salaam. There were no water pipelines, sewage systems, or electricity in neighborhoods. In the monetary matters and in order to compete with the British pound sterling, which dominated the region, the French colonial authorities adopted the Djibouti franc in 1949. The objective was to maintain a strong currency capable of ensuring the territory's commercial competitiveness. However, once inevitability of independence began to be discussed, the colonial power proposed that Djiboutian independence leaders join the CFA franc zone, a situation that would have considerably impoverished the country. This proposal was firmly rejected by our national heroes and political leaders advised by Said Ali Kubesh, who safeguarded the country's monetary stability by maintaining the Djibouti franc. In The Circle of the Spiral, published in 1983, Umar Osman describes and clearly demonstrates how the colonial administration deliberately sought to limit the enrollment of local and indigenous children in schools so that it will not exceed 14% so as not to disrupt the social structure. However, this situation was eventually reversed through the determination of our elders who succeeded in securing national independence.
Moving on now to a road accident reported in Dakhil. A road accident involving a heavy truck occurred during the night of July 6 to 7, 2026, around midnight near the bridge crossing the regional capital. According to reports from the scene, the driver, who was the only person inside the vehicle, sustained minor injuries and was quickly taken care of by emergency services. Following the accident, the truck came to a stop across the road, temporarily blocking traffic and disrupting movement in the area. The Dakhil Gendarmerie Brigade immediately intervened to secure the site and restore traffic flow. The vehicle was removed with the assistance of the road safety squadron lifting crane. Thanks to this rapid and coordinated response, traffic was restored under normal conditions, allowing road users to continue their journey safely. Still in Dakhil region, authorities continue their effort against trafficking and smuggling activities. The Dakhil Customs Brigade, in close collaboration with the regional national police units, seized a large quantity of smuggled cattle in the Said Gaban area between Bondara and Dakhil region. The illegal shipment transported by smugglers on foot was intended to be brought into the Dakhil region. The operation resulted in the seizure of 32 packages of cattle weighing a total of 1,600 kilograms. In accordance with current procedures, the seized goods were destroyed on site in the presence of the head of the Dakhil Customs Brigade, Musa Umar Musa. Turning now to the 2026 FIFA World Cup. Spain and Belgium have qualified for the quarterfinals of the 2026 FIFA World Cup after winning the round of 16 matches against Portugal and the United States. Spain defeated Portugal 1-0 in a close match. The victory allows La Roja to continue its World Cup campaign, while Portugal is eliminated from the competition. Belgium, meanwhile, produced a strong performance against the United States, winning 4-1. The Red Devils showed great attacking power and secured their place in the next round. The Islamic Development Bank has approved a new financing for infrastructure, energy, and agriculture project during its 2026 annual meetings held in Baku, Azerbaijan, from 16 to 19 member countries approved several financial commitments aimed at supporting key development projects, improving social infrastructure, expanding access to energy, and promoting sustainable economic growth. The new funding also focuses on agriculture, a key sector for strengthening food security, increasing productivity, and creating new economic opportunities from across Africa. Through this investment, the Islamic Development Bank aims to support long-term development projects. The Danish shipping group Maersk announced the return of some routes through the Suez Canal as part of the joint Gemini network developed with the German shipping company known as Hapag-Lloyd. The company said that the decision aims to improve shipping operations and strengthen connection between major global trade routes. The restart will begin with a limited number of services and will be adjusted depending on navigation conditions and logistical needs. Following the announcement, shares of both companies declined as investors consider the possible impact on shipping capacity and freight prices. And finally, the leaders of the North Atlantic Treaty Organization known as NATO are gathering in Ankara, Turkey for a summit focused on defense priorities, cooperation, and the future direction of the alliance. The meeting comes as member countries discuss strengthening their defense capabilities, increasing military investment, and improving coordination between allies. NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte is working to strengthen dialogue and unity among member countries. So that's it for tonight's news. Thanks for being with us, and as for me, we'll see you tomorrow at the same time and on the same channel. Goodbye.